needed to get to this podium. But it was that chair. That chair was just holding me back. You know, this is how we can see the problems, the pains, the trials in our life. And it's not the chair that is holding me back. It was the chain that was holding me back. I'd like to welcome you. Thank you so much, Michelle, for this title. I was like, now, God, why'd you give me this? Because, you know, God's behind everything. But I'm so grateful for the opportunity to study this out. It's been life-changing. Thank you. So the lesson today is entitled The Battle of Victimization. And I do want to give Co another round of applause because I just want to go pray right now, but I'm going to do this charge and pray later. But it's such a blessing to be speaking alongside these faithful women of God. The battle of victimization. The chair represents pain, excuses, fears in our past. The chain, that is the victim mindset, a belief that I cannot move forward because of what has been done to me. It is not the chair that was holding me back, it was the chain, choosing to be confined to what has victimized me. Sisters, we don't have to stay chained to our past. We do not have to stay chained to our pain. We have a choice to break that chain. There's a difference between being a victim and victimization. Sadly, we live in a broken and sinful world. So most likely, all of us have been victim to something. And I have no interest at all in diminishing your very real experiences. I think it is important to take the time and acknowledge the realities of the pain in our lives. Don't just push through it. Work through it. Face the facts, but faith the facts. Have you been a victim? Are you a victim? It seems like a subtle difference, but that small distinction can change the course of your life. Is it something you have experienced, or is it your label? A victim is a person harmed, injured, or killed as a result of a crime, accident, or another event or action. Being a victim is something that has been done to you, not an indictment of who you are. Victimization is the act of victimizing something. The victim mindset is the belief that one is always a victim in every circumstance. And it's the idea that bad things will always happen to you. When you have this mindset, you are victimizing yourself. A victim mindset can shrink the life that God has for you. This mentality keeps your attention on what has been done to you rather than what God can do through you. So, you might be thinking like I was when I got this title, I don't have the victim mindset. I'm a victorious woman of God. So how to identify the victim mindset? You blame others or God for your life situation or lack thereof. You reject solutions or have thoughts like, they don't really know my life. They don't know me. No one's been through what I've been through. You make excuses on why you're not changing. You anticipate negativity or things constantly not going right. You don't think you will ever heal. You focus on yourself over the power of God. You resist gratitude and joy. You mistrust God's ability to redeem you or those who have victimized you, believing that things will never change. You have an inferiority complex. You feel helpless or resentful. You quit before you fail. Your life may be marked by victimizing moments, but do not allow yourself to be defined by that. And Rahab understood this. Joshua 2, verse 12 through 13. Now then, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, because I have shown kindness to you. Give me a sure sign then that you will spare the lives of my father and my mother, my brothers and my sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will save us from death. As far as Rahab's social standing goes, she was a prostitute. And the scriptures don't clarify whether she was forced into prostitution or chose that lifestyle. But she was a woman who was marginalized, stigmatized, and vulnerable in her society. In ancient times, these types of women would have very little protection. They would have no voice, and they were treated as disposable. She was overlooked. She was exploited. She was unsafe. She was living in a city that was doomed. Jericho was under judgment, and destruction was imminent. Everyone in the city was essentially a target. She could have thought, woe is me. There is no way I will be saved. People don't even look at me as a human. No one ever listens to me. It's always been this way. I'm just powerless. There's nothing I can do. So why even try? I've tried before. She could have set boundaries of what her future could hold because of her past. She was in a vulnerable state. She was desperate for hope. She was desperate for saving. She was desperate for God. Rahab took responsibility for her life. She owned her space and time. She broke through boundaries. She chose to believe that with God, all things are possible. She aligned herself with God because she understood that she was helpless without God's mercy. She made a bold move in a seemingly hopeless situation. And in the midst of a vulnerable place, she advocated not only for her own deliverance, but for others as well. And in Joshua 6, when Jericho fell, Rahab and her entire household were saved. She was brought to live among the Israelites, God's people, and became a part of their community, leaving her old life behind. In Matthew 1:5, she is in the lineage of Jesus. It says in verse 5, Salmon, the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. She was in the genealogy of Jesus, the greatest victim, as he died for all of us and left us the greatest example. And without his example, we are powerless. Rahab's story is a story of redemption. Her past did not disqualify her from God's protection or purpose. God sees the overlooked. It is the name of God, Elroy, the Lord who sees. Rahab her life reminds us that God sees. And her story doesn't end with being labeled as a prostitute. It ends with her as a redeemed and faithful woman. With faith, God will use your pain as a story of redemption. Your worth is not defined by your past failures, trials, or pain. Your worth is defined by the unchanging truth of who God says you are. So sisters, what have you been chained to? Do you want to get well? Getting well is a little scary because then you have no more excuses. In Romans 12, verse 2, it says, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. It is then that you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. The victim mentality warps your reality. Transform, my sisters, by renewing your mind. The last time we see Rahab in the scriptures is in Hebrews 11:31. And it says that by faith she was not killed, along with those who were disobedient. Victimization makes you feel powerless. And I believe one of the strongest antidotes of victimization is faith. It is this kind of unshakable faith and trust in God that should be the very culture of our hearts. Sisters, break your chains of victimization, and like Rahab, step into the future that God has promised for you. Thank you.